Judgment here. Now that the dust has settled a bit on the Diablo 2 Resurrected announcement, I thought I would give a few opinions about what I've seen so far and how that will affect my own play. Now, first of all, I have to admit I was simply wrong on the possibility of Diablo 2 Resurrected ever appearing. I didn't think Blizzard would divide their resources between developing Diablo 4, Diablo Immortal and Diablo 2 Resurrected, but they seem to have got round the problem by simply getting somebody else to do it. And so far, the interviews that I have seen with the Diablo 2 Resurrected designers have by and large filled me with a lot of optimism. They seem to be quite dedicated to the game themselves, and they seem to have a good track record of doing previous remasters. Blizzard have clearly recognised the importance of getting Diablo 2 Resurrected correct. Just a few things I'll mention, not too many, though the vast majority of the points have already been covered by other streamers, but just my opinions on some of them. There still does not seem to be any provision for repeated kills of the Cow King, which I would have liked to have seen. They are implementing a shared stash. Now, the format that this will take still seems to be of some debate, but I would still like to see my idea implemented that you have a shared stash of unlimited size, but only outside the game that you are currently playing. Once you've put something in the shared stash, you can't access that item until you restart the game. And that is just to avoid players being able to just re-gear their character during a game. To me, the most important feature they could put in Diablo 2 Resurrected was the ability to import the old characters. Now, there seems to be mixed messages on this, and I'm going to put in the description 2 links. One is an interview with Rob Gallerani, and the timestamp I have provided there will show you that he clearly said that old characters may not be imported into Diablo 2 Resurrected, though to be fair to him, I think his answer was more in the context of Battle.net characters than single player. The other link is from an interview with Matthew Cederquist done by IGN, in which he clearly states that older characters can be imported into the new Diablo 2 Resurrected, and this seems to be the latest and the most positive information that we have, so I'll assume that's going to be correct. So how does that affect my own play? One thing I was pleased to hear was that the new game will have worldwide servers, and in turn I am much more inclined to play online with other members of the Discord now that new servers are to be established, and hopefully they'll remove the duping and the bots. I would still like a method of backing up my character files. Remembering that some of my older characters date well back to the early 2000s, I would still like to be able to back up those character files, particularly if I have to move between computers. Now, in my opinion, the method they have adopted seems to be a good one. It appears as if I've designed a 3D engine which will take the 2D game, which will be running underneath, and implement whatever 3D graphics they have designed. Now, my guess is that they have that part of the new game already well established, but they're going to have to go through and re-establish all the artwork and redesign a lot of it. Now, that to me has one particularly good feature as I read it. Since the artwork will now be 3D, that means that the appearance of your character will be far more customizable, and they've already mentioned a zoom feature where people can zoom in and see the artwork in greater detail. Another feature I thought was a really good one was the idea to have an advanced character stats screen. We're in the game here with Bludger, my Barbarian, and you can see there his basic stats there, but there is no indication within the game of things like his magic find, hit recovery, attack speed, and so on. And I was very pleased to see that the new game will include a page where these things can be readily accessed. Now if you're wondering why I've brought in the Pit Barbarian, I thought that if I am going to play more online, then it might be time to put a bit more time into finding Tyrael's Might, the last item I have to find, before Diablo 2 Resurrected becomes available. Now originally, Bludger here was a conventional Pitzerker, that is with the damage attack being in Berserk. Now I have to say I found that a very unrewarding style of play. I found the lack of attack speed for Berserk quite frustrating. The resistances were lower than what you're about to see, and I thought I'd respec him as a Frenzy Barb. Now if you're wondering why on earth I want to respec this as a Frenzy Barb, it's what I'm going to do with the high runes that I have. Remember, I originally believed that you would not be able to import your old characters into Diablo 2 Resurrected. This is a character on whom I keep my high runes. I've only ever found 2 Zod runes, and in fact I had found those 2 Zod runes before I found any Cham runes. Now one of the runes I've used in a Breath of the Dying Berserker Axe, and you'll see that in Bludger in a moment. Now up to about October of 2020 I'd never seen a Cham rune, but all of a sudden in the space of about 4 months I had 4 of them. Nereza, my Traps Assassin, found 3 of them, and Sigma, my Necromancer, found another 1. Now one of those Cham runes has gone towards Doom in an Ethereal Thresher on my Hammer and Smipel. But what to do with the other 3? The only other available rune word I can think of for unmodified single player is Hand of Justice, and I think that uses a Sur and a low rune as well. So the question arises, what do I do with the Cham runes? Well, one thing that is very common, so I understand, is to put a Cham rune in the Harlequin crest, and you can see one up the top there. I remember Krugger's video saying that he didn't like the idea of putting a Cham rune in the Shaco for Cannot Be Frozen, and if you've only got 1 or 2 Cham runes, I can understand that point of view. However, I now have 3 of them more or less spare, and I'm thinking if I don't put it in the Harlequin crest, then what do I do with it? And I'll explain the gear here and go through the option of what you could do. So there is the Breath of the Dying Berserker Axe in an Ethereal base, Enigma Mage Plate, Harlequin crest, and this one has a 15% increased attack speed dual, and I'll explain why in a moment. That amulet, 2 to Barbarian skills, 5 fast cast to get the 105 breakpoint, 24 magic find. I have replaced the shield with a silenced Berserker Axe, and this may be something of a mistake. I'm thinking this arguably should have been made in a Warspike for the increased attack speed. Pair of 46 Magic Find War Travellers that I found only a few days ago. Cannot Be Frozen is maintained by the Triangle Belt. We have a Nagel ring there, another Nagel ring there, and for the gloves I've gone for 20 attack speed, 8 crushing blow, 3 life steal, 13 magic find gloves. So compared to the Pitzerker, this one has an additional 35 attack speed between the 20 in the gloves and the 15% attack speed dual in the Harlequin crest. The charms are the same, Aegides and various 7%, some small amount of damage, resistance, and I've put in a couple for hit recovery, though we have another 20 hit recovery from there. The Mercenary Vikayat still has the same gear, Treachery Diamond Mail in an Ethereal base, a Griswold's Valor Corona with an attack speed dual and a topaz in it, and the rune word Eternity in an Ethereal base Mancatcher. And we made this one on stream and it got 309 out of 310 for damage. It's an excellent weapon for a Pit Barbarian Mercenary, given that it has Cannot Be Frozen and its own boost to Magic Find. This character uses more high runes than any other character I think I've ever played. Starting from the top, there is a Zod rune in the Berserker Axe. There is the potential for a Cham rune in the Harlequin crest. There is a Jar rune in the Enigma. There is a Burr rune in the Enigma. There is another Burr rune in the Mercenary's weapon, and the Mercenary's weapon also contains a Sur rune. Now, I've usually tried to keep my player builds as realistic as possible, but I have to admit, runes like that are just not readily obtainable by anybody starting out in the game in unmodified single player, and that list of runes took me quite some years to obtain. My first ever player build was this character with a more defensive orientated setup, and I'll include the link to that in the description if you'd like to have a look at that. You still need, unfortunately, for any decent pit barbarian, you do need Enigma, and I do remember the days when I was playing unmodified single player and I wondered how on earth I would ever get such runes. But eventually they fell. My justification for the use of such high runes is simply the reason I gave before for the Cham rune. If I'm not prepared to use such runes for the search for Tyrael's Might, then when am I prepared to use them? Now this is now Frenzy Barbarian, so I have maximised Double Swing and Frenzy. For combat masteries I have maximised Axe Mastery and 1 point each into increased stamina, increased speed, natural resistance, iron skin. For war cries I have maximised battle orders, 1 point into Howl, Find Potion, Battle Command, and I have bumped up Find Item now to the point where there is 50% chance or 51% under battle orders. We have 4 skill points left over. Now running the Pitzerker variant, Howl was a synergy for Berserk, but since I'm not doing that, I'll probably in the end put the points into the necessary synergy for Frenzy, which will be Taunt. I've just put on the Diablo interface window there, and you can see we are running 464 Magic Find, which is less than the Pitzerker variant. I'm carrying a gold wrap in the stash there, so what it would be possible to do is to bump up the attack speed by another 10 by putting that on in place of the triangle belt. Take out the attack speed there, so overall we lose 5 attack speed, and put a Cham rune in the Shaco there. That would have the effect of bumping up the Magic Find by 30, so it could get up as high as 494, but we drop 5 attack speed. Now what I enjoy about this build is it has a sizable amount of lifesteal and mana steal, so there is a total of 12, 15 lifesteal, and for mana steal we have 11 from there, another 6 from there for 17, 24, so we have more than enough life and mana steal. Okay, swap to the wizard spikes. From here on it's pretty standard stuff. So there's the unique. We're frightened away with Howl. We get a rare amulet. Not really worth keeping. Now I've played this map so much now that I've got a reasonable memory of where the uniques are likely to occur. There's liable to be one just down in this corner here. In fact there's 2, in fact there can sometimes be 3. Ammon rune we want. And that looks like, yes, another unique's coming. In fact there are another 2 there. Okay, let's have a look at those boots. I never liked the blue colour, and I still don't. Sometimes there can be a unique down here. Now I know there's a well just around the corner, so that'll replenish most of our mana. The shaman area rarely has uniques, but it occasionally has it. Same one here. And there's often a unique here, and there it is. Oh, and I've forgotten to swap weapons there. Okay, yellow, blue again. And you notice there the mana replenishes quite quickly. We are cursed. I used to go on to the main weapons before I enter the pit. There's often unique over here, but not in this game. Down to here, and there's usually one across here. And there's another one. In fact, I've had to use a potion there, that's most unusual. In fact, we can get our potion back. Topaz. I have a program called Tiny Task Settle. Sometimes I check the chest. Nothing there. I've gone out to LibreOffice here, and this is the spreadsheet I keep for each character as they progress between levels. And you can see here that Bludger is already about 28% of the way to level 95. Now, he did not become a Pit Barbarian until level 92. So in effect, he has progressed from 92 to 93, 93 to 94, and 94 to 95, we hope, entirely in the pit. But from level 94 onwards, he has been a Frenzy Barb. I find this such an enjoyable build to play compared to the Berserk variant that I've been progressing this character quite rapidly towards the next level, and I would expect in another few months' time he will in fact hit level 95. The hunt for Tyrell's Might, I assume, will continue. This character here I consider to be the most likely character to find it. So you've seen there my own brief opinions on Diablo 2 Resurrected and how I've decided to respec my Pitzerker as a Frenzy Barb to try and improve my chances of finding Tyrell's Might. But I think we'll all look forward to seeing Diablo 2 Resurrected come out, and hopefully I will see many more members of the Discord online and playing together.